Thank you. It's nice to see all of those happy faces tonight. Welcome aboard. Let's start off by discussing your week. If anything wonderful or beautiful or extraordinary happened for you this week, something in the line of your opening consciousness, we'd love to hear about it. So please just unmute yourself and jump in.
Okay, Bob, it's Melba here. Can you see me?
Hang on a minute.
Okay.
Now I got you. Yeah, now I got you.
Okay. Well, I've been doing those affirmations 200 times a day. It's really helped very much. I'm beginning to feel them. Also, I'm back to working on a book, which feels stronger than it used to. And I'm writing about self-sabotage, etc., and how you do hold on to your dream. And I just have more belief and a stronger sense that, yes, I'm moving forward. I'll be using this COVID time for writing more books. And I can tell that your voice, Bob, and the book that I've been reading, the You Are the Placebo, have made a big difference, So I appreciate that very much. I'm stronger than I was last week. That's how I feel.
Great, Melba. This is great.
Glad to be here. And I've told 2 or 3 people to join this group. So one of them is Judy, and 2 others, Blenda and Sharon. I don't know whether they're here yet.
Hi, Judy.
Yeah.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Melba. Beautiful sharing. Who else would like to tell us about their week? We want to hear it. You slept through the week?
Okay, I'll go. I think one of the things that really was the highlight for me was I've been a member of the Self-Realization Fellowship for many years, and I was delighted to discover they have an online meditation center now. So I gotten away from it for a number of years, but I was delighted to find out that, there's a whole schedule of events, including the energization exercises, chanting, meditating, and some of them by the monks that live in the residences. So that was the highlight of my week.
Is that an SRF center there in Vancouver?
There is, but like I said, I've gotten away from it for a number of years due to other things entering, but I just had this, I went on their website, the Vancouver Center, and found out about this link, so I've been going there, but they're starting to slowly get together, but not many people are allowed into the Vancouver Center so far.
Well, I knew that there was a good connection between you and me, Victor, because Babaji is one of my masters.
Oh, wonderful.
Thank you for sharing.
Thanks.
Who else? Oh, wait. There goes Brian. Come on, Brian.
Bob, how are you, my friend? So
I'm
nice
good.
to see you. It's so nice to hear your voice. Last week I sat by and I watched because I was suffering from a super infected tooth, which I had pulled on Friday, but I have found myself using your meditation and using everything that I'm reading in the book to help myself keep myself grounded. Certainly helped me with the infection, and helped me get through the week, which life has not paused while my body was screaming. Yeah, your meditation was great. It's helped me through some sleepless nights. And thank you. And your Sunday sermon was fantastic too, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian. Incidentally, the affirmations that I gave you last week, I am right here, right now, and I got another thing going on in my mind here. I'm right here, right now, and I'm a good and worthy person. If you're saying that, and you feel yourself progressing, and you feel yourself coming into a oneness with the universe, and you feel yourself being more blessed and more blessing, more of a blessing, and that wonderfulness is going on. And then one day you just try to do those affirmations, and they just ring hollow, and you can't get your mind straight. It's really an excellent thing for you when that happens, because it tells you that you've missed the base. Like if you're driving out across the plains of Saskatchewan, just driving out across a long road, and it's night and you turn your lights on, how will you know if you're still on the road? You'll know if you get off the road, won't you? And it's the same way with this. Is when you get off your divine path, then you can't do your affirmations, you can't meditate, everything just seems to go crazy, and you feel badly about that, but don't, because the message is, okay, I need to readjust here. Where did I fall off the road? What's going on with me? Where did I start focusing on my doubts and fears rather than my blessings and my joy and my love? So it's a good thing. So hang in with that. Somebody else give us a nice sharing.
I'll go. I had something very unexpectedly nice happen this week, and I've been having problems with my new printer. And I emailed the company, and they told me or suggested what I should try, and I emailed back, it didn't work. And so they emailed me again and said, take a picture, and I did, and they couldn't figure it out. And so they're sending me a brand new printer.
Yes.
And it was so unexpected. It was like, oh my God. Oh my, and they just said, chuck the new one, just chuck it.
Good. Oh, this is good news.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love it. You're shopping in the right place, lady.
Bob, I can share, and here again, it's not that something spectacular happened, but I can just tell you, I had a lot of fun with it. I was driving to the golf course, and I was in my car, so I was singing it, I was yelling it, I was dancing so I had a great time. And I have to say, from the first time you mentioned, like, I'm here right now, right here, I used it the next day on the tennis court, and it was like incredibly focusing. In terms of, like, instead of looking at other people, other courts, it was like I stayed on the court. It was really useful, extremely useful.
Oh God, that's good news. Thank you. Yes, I love it.
I'll go next, Bob. I actually added another line to the affirmations,
Good
and it's I'm right here, right now, and God's healing power is active in my body because I'm a good person and I'm worthy.
Good for you, Jean.
And that's it's very powerful.
It is.
And has been. And some more good news is that today Jerry and I picked up a brand new car.
Yes. Brand new.
New. I've never had a brand new one before, and I think this is only the second one ever for Jerry. So yeah.
Hey folks, she gets to smell the inside of a brand new car.
I know. It's awesome.
Jean, when I was first doing that affirmation years ago, I'm a good and worthy person, it was because I was suffering from a little cancer scare, and my affirmation is, I am a good and worthy person and I'm totally healthy. I'm a good and worthy person and I'm totally healthy. And like I say, it was a cancer scare because eventually the scare went away and there was no cancer. So I can't tell you that the affirmation did it or the placebo did it or what, but the doctor said, yeah, we're gonna take you over to the hospital and open you up there. We're gonna get that out of there. And the next time they checked, there wasn't anything there. So anyway, it's good news.
That's great.
Who else would like to share about your week? Something good that happened. Somebody's calling in.
Linda.
Yeah. Hi, Bob. I knew you many, many years ago, and I've been a counselor, but I dropped out of it and had some fun doing skip the dishes this summer. And I was thinking it's about time for it to end for me. And I went up to a restaurant, and this young lady who serves, who takes the orders, she ran up to me and she says, "Oh, I'm so glad to see you. You're so cute, and you're just like a little bubble, and you always wear pink." Well, I'm not wearing pink tonight, but she says, "You're always wearing pink, and I just love you. I wait for you to come." And I've been a counselor, but this just kind of made my day and my week to know I try to be love as best as I can, but to see it just bubbling out of her and made me so happy. And I said, "I just want to thank you so much." I said, "You really made my day." And she said, "Really?" And I said, "Yes, really." I said, "Do you mind if I give you a book that I wrote?" And she says, "You write?" And I said, "Yes." And I gave her my book, and we were both so happy. And after that, it feels like that chapter maybe is mostly ended. And what a delightful way for it to end and me to come back into the counseling.
Oh
Wow.
boy,
That's
what
great.
a beautiful story. What a beautiful story. Thank you. Thank you. Miracles are happening, people. Miracles are happening. We've got time for another story. I know what you're thinking. I would turn my mute off and share, but what I have to say is kind of lame and they don't want to hear it. So be brave. Yes, there you are.
Hi, I'm Margaret. And Bob, I actually missed last week because I was in a retreat. So I phoned a friend who's in the course and I asked her if she could tell me what I missed. And she told me several things, but what I remembered was the affirmations. And so I've been saying them this week. And then today I sent my son an email, a text, because he's going through a difficult time and I don't know what's wrong, but I wanted to offer something to him. So I wrote him and I said, "You are a good and worthy person." And it felt exactly the right thing to say.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's been helpful, not just for me, but I hope also for him.
Boy, that message coming from my mother. Wow, what a message coming from your mother.
I hope so.
Good and worthy person. Wow, that is a beautiful blessing.
It is a blessing. Yeah, it is a blessing. So thank you.
Thank you. Let's talk a little bit about chapter 3. Joe, here, I got some notes here. Joe says, thought is more real than anything in chapter 3. I was really struck by that. Thought is more real than anything.
Mhm.
What does he mean by that? That's a question. Thought is more real than anything.
Your thoughts create your reality.
Okay, good.
Your thoughts carry energy
Yes,
and therefore can manifest.
beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Exactly right. And so as we move through this book, what we're going to learn is that our greatest blessing and our greatest enemy is our thinking. And we've become habituated to thinking in a certain way. And there are a certain number of those thoughts that are self-demeaning. Maybe for some of us, not overly self-demeaning, just maybe a little bit, not encouraging, just like, oh, I don't think I can do that, or that's just not me, or I don't know, I'd mess that up. I've already, in fact, oh, look what I did. I made a mess out of that. Just little things like that. But when you add them all up, it becomes a personality. It becomes a trait. It becomes a habit of thinking. And then from that, you can never allow yourself to think, I'm 100%. I'm whole, perfect, and complete, exactly the way I am, and exactly the way I am not. Whole, perfect, and complete. You can't really think that if you've got these little niggling thoughts going on that are kind of taking you down. On the other hand, learning to think positively. I am a good and worthy person. I am right here, right now, and I am a good and worthy person. Everything in that is powerful. And what it does is that it goes into the subconscious mind where all those little darknesses are, and it just irons them out and turns the light on in there. I am a good and worthy person. So when we do this for 12 weeks, and as I said last week, I'm not asking you to do it 100 times, 200 times, 300 times a day. Do it as many times as you want to do it a day. But I'm telling you what I do. I do it all day. I do it in the middle of the night when I'm awake. I do it when I get up in the morning. I do it before I go to sleep. I did it before I came on the air waiting for you guys. I do it all the time. I am right here, right now, and I'm a good and worthy man. I'm a good and worthy person. I'm a good and worthy man. I'm right here, right now. Right now, I'm right here, and I'm a good and worthy person. And eventually, something inside you begins to shift and change, and those old dragons all go to sleep. It's an amazing process. I'd like to ask you another question. Joe Dispenza talked about conditioning and experiencing and meaning, or excuse me, conditioning and expectations and meaning. Conditioning, expectations, and meaning as sort of preambles or foundation building blocks for effective placebo work. Conditioning, expectations, and meaning. Can somebody discuss that with us a little bit? Tell us kind of what that means. Start with conditioning. What does conditioning mean here? Come on, you read the chapter. Jump in here. See, we need to discuss this. And the reason we need to discuss this is because we got it while we looked at the page and we read it. That's one way of getting it in. But we need to get it in several ways so that it goes in around through all of the little blocks and gets into the deepest part of this. So we discuss it and we hear it and we listen to it and we talk about it and we think about it. So conditioning, what does conditioning mean?
For me, conditioning is about the programming basically that we've taken on. The beliefs about ourselves have been conditioned into us through our experiences, through what we were told, what we picked up in a society at large. There's all kinds of routes in which the conditioning comes in. That's my take on it. It's like, and it seems like it takes an awful lot sometimes to move beyond it, because like for me this week, I started off singing the affirmations and feeling really on top of things. And then there was a day where all of a sudden there was very little access to that. I mean, I still knew that was there and available, but I find myself like a yo-yo, and depending on which end of the pendulum, not that yo-yos are on pendulums, but it can be so different. Like when I fall off the horse, it's pretty mucky.
Thank you. Thank you. That's so well said. That's so beautiful. Thank you.
Um, Also, as it applies to, our physical bodies, like, with this tooth I was dealing with, just being conditioned to believe that if I have a pain, I take a pill,
Yeah. Right on, Brian.
To me, conditioning as well is about the physiology, like what we have already wired into our body, just through our own brains, but in our body, the conditioning that happens in the physical body as a result of belief systems, expectations, meaning. The conditioning for me very much is a body sensation.
Do you think, my friends, that conditioning would have something to do with being available for a placebo reaction?
Mhm.
In other
I'm
words,
guessing at this, sorry.
go ahead.
I was just going to say, it seems to me that conditioning could be a barrier or an obstacle to what you're teaching and what we're trying to learn here, because it's a belief, and it's often a rock solid belief. So if we believe that we can't change the physical body, then we most likely will not be able to do it.
And along the line with that, if we've got our minds made up, this is the way it is, and this is the way it is, and this is the way it is, then we don't have the flexibility necessary to be susceptible to placebos.
Right. Yes.
So
Hello.
go ahead.
Yeah, it's Ralph. And there's a negative side to it that I've been through. A lot of people just sort of shrug and say you're a bit of a nut. Well, I had a knee done about 27 years ago. I replaced the knee and said, well, we'll be on the other one in about 3 months. And I said, couldn't be quicker. I said, I'd just love to get it done. And people said, well, does it hurt? I said, yes, it does. But I'd get it done without anesthetic. And I kept that on and on. My wife used to get annoyed at me from saying it. People would say, well, are you getting excited about getting the other one done? I said, I sure am. And I said, I'd get it done without any anesthetic. At that time, Shaughnessy Military Hospital was closing down and being turned over to something else. And the government ended up sending all the different doctors and anesthesists out to different hospitals. One who didn't want to come to the Richmond General Hospital ended up being, I guess, the anesthesiast that I was going to have in that. And normally they come in the night before and do a little chat with you, and that nobody came the night before. They wheeled me into the operating room, and I had already made arrangements with the doctor. No tablets beforehand going in. I like to see all the machinery and stuff, and he went along with that with the first one, so he didn't mind going along with the second one either. But anyway, I got onto the operating table and swung my legs over to the side because they give you an epidermal in the back of the spine. And all of a sudden, this angry voice said, "Hey, you nuthead, what are you doing?" And he said, you lay down there and turn over on your side. So angry voice he was. And then anyway, he gave me a good punch up the back. and then they go to your toes with a little needle, and they, wander up your body to see that it's taken. And I kept telling him, "Hey, whoa, boy, that hurts," and that. And the doctors were getting annoyed. They said they were hollering from their corner saying, "Look, we've only got 90 minutes in this operating room. We got to get going." And anyway, this guy finally said, "Okay, you're ready." Well, I sure as heck wasn't ready. And that what they do is they put a tourniquet on your leg, but they also put it up underneath their arm to hold it up while they do the first slice. And my doctor looked at me and said, "Away we go, Ralph," and away with the needle, or with the knife, and we all went up in the air together. And tell you, it was something, and I was just fortunate. We had a nurse who had the gumption to push this guy out of the road and slap the gas on me. When I woke up in recovery, the doctor was sitting on the edge of the bed. He said, "He's no longer with us, Ralph," and we sure apologize.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Now that is my Bible that I hold in my hand when I say things now, because I know very well that what you think, and your thoughts are your prayers as well. And I have to take things back that I say quite often, because it was the talk around that hospital for quite some time.
Yeah, it was.
What I'm a little bit concerned about, Ralph, is when he said he's no longer with us.
Oh my God.
Maybe he
Anyway,
really is no longer with us.
But and I've talked to other people at meetings and things like that say, "Well, I don't know if that works or not, to stand in front of a mirror." It's not being, what do you call it? I don't know, cheeky or anything, but I stand in front of the mirror and talk to myself occasionally and say, "Hey, it isn't going to be that bad," and you talk yourself out of things, and that if you saw the mess we're getting into now before we move, I'd like to be able to change my thoughts on some of the things. So anyway, I was late coming in, but it didn't take long to catch on to what you're up to. So.
Thank you, Ralph. Thank you. So that's conditioning, and I think we all pretty much understand that we are conditioned to think in a certain way, to have I want to take that back a little bit, because what we often do is we say, "I have to change my thoughts. The things I'm thinking are not good things." The things you think don't matter. It's how you think. It's how we think that matters. If we think in the right way, we always think the right thoughts. And not all thoughts are positive. So, you have denial thoughts as well as affirming thoughts, but they're important thoughts, and they're the right thoughts, as long as they're coming from you, the eternal spiritual being, the master. The next thing that Dr. Joe says in terms of his building blocks are expectations. And that's pretty obvious, isn't it? But let me hear from somebody about expectations. Why would that be important in terms of placebo work?
Can I sneak in a quick thought on conditioning?
Please.
Yeah. So conditioning is something that happens to the mind over the course of our life. Happens with everything, every single event that happens in our life. It conditions us. So there's this sort of built up historical conditioning that happens. And then we have the now. You are right here, right now. And that is the only point in the linearity of time at which we have choice. And so we have to make a decision whether we are going to allow ourselves now and in the future to be conditioned by the past, or whether we're going to choose a specific frame of reference for our life that we are going to use to help to design or co-create our life. You see what I'm saying there? And so it's the choice that is so important, because unless we choose, like you gave everybody affirmations, and we're now choosing thoughts that are nourishing and positive, that really represent how we would like our world to be. And in embracing those thoughts, choosing to think them, mentally programming ourselves to think them, we are actually creating our reality. If we don't do that, then we allow our future to be created by our past solely. In other words, the entire bulk of our conditioning will then be what just sort of whatever percolates up. And by the way, what percolates up from the mind will generally be negative in nature. And that's because at a neuroscience level, there's what's called the default mode network. And the default mode network is designed to kind of keep thoughts running through consciousness. And in order to help you survive evolutionarily over thousands of years, what it tends to percolate up are fears, things that you need to be worried about, because the ego, the mind, is trying to protect us. And so it will continually bring up fears based on past experiences that were negative and sort of warn you, oh, you don't want this to happen again, be careful. When in fact, fear is not as necessary as it used to be. So I kind of wanted to close on the conditioning, that real key point there, that if we don't choose to condition ourselves, then we're basically allowing ourselves to be programmed by the past.
Well, Randy, my God, what you said is so beautiful and so eloquent. Will you continue on for a minute and talk about reconditioning ourselves?
Reconditioning ourselves. It's really stepping into our power to create our futures. About making a decision to actually step into your ability to create your life rather than reacting to external stimuli. Instead, you go within and decide how you'd like it to be. And then you affirm going forward that that is what you're going to see. That causes you then to start looking for it in your daily experience. And the more you see it, it tends to reinforce. So if I say that I believe that I'm a worthy person 200 times a day, pretty soon I start noticing some of the things I do are quite worthy. And so actually I'm not kidding myself. And it starts to feed on itself. It becomes a self-perpetuating belief system. And the cool thing about it is the more that you do it, you use up bandwidth in the neural circuitry. And what happens is those old negative thoughts, you call them the dragons, you said they go to sleep. Well, in neuroscience, they call that synaptic pruning. As those negative thoughts have less and less priority at the executive control center, eventually the mind says, well, apparently those thoughts are not that important anymore. And we actually need some of the neurochemicals, the neurotransmitters that used to hold that circuit together. They're needed now over here to perpetuate these thoughts that apparently are very important. The executive control center says we have to say them 200 times a day. And so we need to start increasing the strength of those neural circuits. So let's grab some of those neurotransmitters from these old obsolete circuits and use them to hold together the new empowering circuits. And in doing so, what we're really engaging in is the process of conscious evolution. We are consciously evolving our neural circuitry, which is the ground of our consciousness, which is the ground of reality, which is the ground of all experience.
Oh, thank you, Randy. God, that's beautiful. So well said. So well said. All right, guys, I'm going to leave now because Randy's going to do the rest of this. Boy, you just hit the ball out of the park. That is so perfect. That is so perfect. And I'm so glad that you went into additional conditioning, because it's true, we have been conditioned throughout our whole lives to think a certain way and to be a certain way and to have certain self-identities. And unless we realize, as Randy said, in doing our affirmations and in watching a self, being in the here and now, and watching ourselves and watching how we think, and reminding ourselves that we're good and worthy people, unless we do that constantly, what we do is we just sort of paint over the outside of things, and then after a while the paint flakes off and we're back to where we were. But in what Randy's talking is, you go right in, it seeps right into the heart of the matter and changes who you think you are, which is Joe's. If you know something about Joe Dispenza, his biggest message, his largest message, is who you are is not who you are right now, is not really who you are. You need to change who you are. You need to get rid of this identity that you have, because it's false. You need to become you. You need to become the real you. And you're not the real you right now. I mean, he doesn't come out and say it that bluntly, but that's really where he's going. And that's exactly right. And that's what Randy was really getting to in that.
He's their long guy. He is their long guy. So what I want to
ask people to mute themselves if they're not speaking when Bob asks. Just it's helpful for the background noise. Thanks.
So expectations quite obviously mean that what I expect to happen probably will happen. If I'm expecting it to happen, then I'm open to it happening. So if the doctor gives me a little sugar pill and says, this is just a placebo, but it really might cure what's ailing you because it's cured other people, and I expect that it will work, then there's a real good chance that it in fact will work. But expectations are really important, because if you expect that it won't work, then the probability is that it in fact will not work. And that's the nocebo, isn't it? And then finally, Dr. Joe talks to us about meaning. And he uses as an example the maids that were working in the motel or the hotel making beds. And when they finally talked to them and told them that what they were doing is building muscles and losing weight and becoming more shapely, then making beds and vacuuming floors and washing bathrooms took on a whole new meaning. And that meaning then began to be a placebo. So what are the ways in your life that you can do things with a meaning? Like you go through your whole day, every day, just think for a moment what you do from you get up in the morning till you go to bed at night. Generally what you do during your day, does it have any meaning? What if it had meaning? What if this? What if this? Just stay with me for a minute. What if I had a vision? And my vision was to write a book. And my vision was to make sure that this book was not New York Times bestseller maybe, but that it was a big seller, that it was going to sell several 100,000 copies. So it's worthwhile. I haven't even started the book. I don't even have an outline. I don't even know what I'll write about. But tomorrow morning when I get up, everything that I do with the thought of, this is a part of my book. What I'm doing right now is a part of my book. I'm just doing dishes, but if I were describing what I'm doing, she moved into the kitchen, tied the apron around her. It was her mother's old apron, but she still loved it. And she poured the water in the sink and then suddenly noticed something outside the window. I mean, everything that you're doing now has meaning. It's not just washing dishes. Everything has meaning. It's part of a book. What if everything that you were doing was curative. Everything that you were doing was elevating your life and enriching your soul somehow. What if you gave it that meaning? Could you do that? And if so, how could you do that? Somebody give me an example. How could you do that? Come on.
Okay.
I can speak from my experience. I've had chronic illness from birth, pretty much. So my meeting has been very focused around creating optimum health, and that's why I'm here. So I've had a lot of reinforcements, a lot of encouragement from spirit, a lot of healings that tells me that this is what I'm supposed to be doing now, nothing else. I'm not distracting myself with anything else, not relationships, not anything else. I have a daily routine and I follow it. But when I read chapter 3, there was a chart here that I really found interesting. Like I read The Power of Habit, which was really, really good. And talking about, getting the grooves in your brain, about getting into a routine or doing certain habits that are beneficial and productive. But then when he talks about the same reality, the flow chart here, the same thoughts, the same choices, the same actions that lead to the same experiences and then the same feelings. So I thought, well, I need, just from a neuroscience point of view, sure, I think it would make a lot of sense to really start to differentiate that and start doing some novel things for my brain. But at the same time, I'm thinking, well, the routine is positive and productive. So there was an interesting point for me to kind of figure out how to have the two coincide and live together.
I really see what you're saying too. And Victor, I think that your routine is a healthful routine and it has incredible meaning, and it's a progressive, self-building, self-enriching, self-health making routine. And I think that what the fear is that after a while, it becomes almost numbed because it's so routine. And so the mind is not electric and fascinated with what's going on.
No, not enough novelty.
Yeah. So to salt a little novelty in and put a little salt and pepper on it might be a good idea.
Yeah, I've been contemplating that in my journaling, just kind of figuring just little things to kind of trick the brain and get the dopamine rushing again, and to just say, okay, well, this was different today and that was different yesterday. And somehow there is always something that shows up, just life just shows up for us and gives us new experiences, whether we work at it or not anyways. So it's also a point of watching the mind and just not letting it beat me up too, right? I mean, just say, okay, well, reviewing the day, that this went well and this was new, and Rome wasn't built in a day. So
Thank you, Victor. Thank you.
Thanks.
Some of us have old dragons or old demons that we're dragging along behind us. And there's some times when an old pain or an old betrayal or an old hurt or something comes back, and you do affirmations and you try to think of other things and you try to meditate and it just won't go away, then just change the scene. Just get out of that scene, whatever the scene is. If you're in bed, get up and go sit in a chair, do something different, just change, just get out of that. Because the cells of your body, each cell has consciousness, individual and unique consciousness. And each cell has memory. They all have memory. And when they all start coordinating together and chattering, and you have them in one position, they may not shut up. You may have to change, get up, go for a walk, move around, go get a cup of coffee, cup of tea, cup of water, glass of wine, something, move around, go sit in another chair, go read a book, do something different to get out of that. Don't just keep sitting fighting it, fighting it, fighting it. If you get into one of those doldrum phases, move away from it, go away from it. So we've talked about Joe's three platforms, three building blocks, basic building blocks of the placebo, which were conditioning, meaning, and expectations. And we pretty much understand those. But what I want to do, though, as we move along through this book, is I'm hitting certain high points, and I want you to recognize that out of a whole chapter, I'm only hitting certain things. And those are the things I want you to make sure not only that you remember, but that you practice, conditioning. As Randy so eloquently explained it, to be here right now and to make choices, make decisions. To don't let the past run your life, because otherwise the past decides your future. Make your decisions right here, right now, and to have the expectations, to have those expectations that you're going to win, that you're going to get what you want, that you're going to do that, the things that are bugging you health-wise, to do whatever you need to, and it may take days or weeks, but to get to a place where you expect it to get better. There's got to be there. You've got to expect it to get better. And I know you're going to have some self-doubts, right? Those self-doubts, we drag along behind them like a big bag of rocks. And the self-doubts are a bag of rocks we drag behind us. And they bump along the road behind us and they pull us down. I don't think you can get rid of them all at once, but I think you can reach back and pluck a rock at a time out and toss it off. So when this self-doubt comes up, face that individual self-doubt and get rid of it. Get rid of that self-doubt. And the next self-doubt comes up. Get rid of that self-doubt. How? By denying it. That's not so. That's not true. That's not true about me. I am a good and worthy person. I'm right here, right now, and I'm a good and worthy person. That's not true about me. What's true? Let's say that the doubt is I probably could never have a real close relationship. That'll probably never happen because I'm older and I'm not that attractive and I haven't had a good batting average in the past. And no, stop. Whoa, wait a minute, stop. That's not me. That is not me. That is not true. It's not true. It's not true. I am a good and worthy person. I am right here, right now, and I am a good and worthy person, and I deserve to have great relationships, and I'm capable of having great relationships. And you've got to just put it out there. You've got to just demand it right then, right there. And every time that comes up, you got to hit that ball out of the park. Don't let it get inside of you and start working on you. And after a while, it stops trying. So, you know that we have, as you read in the chapter, 60 to 70,000 thoughts each day. 60 to 70,000 thoughts each day. And 60 to 70% of them, maybe as much as 75% of them, are exactly the same thought we had yesterday, and the day before, and the day before that, and the day before that. And some thoughts, some choices, some actions, some behaviors, some experiences, some feelings are so the same and so constantly the same, so continually the same, that they're boring, and then we're boring. But you know what the ego says? But these are comfortable and this is safety. Life isn't a mattress. You don't buy a Posturepedi life. We don't want a comfortable life. I mean, we've been sold a bill of goods by all of the manufacturers about how our life is supposed to be comfortable. It's not supposed to be comfortable. Our heroes, the great athletes they're soccer players, they aren't their lives are anything but easy. I mean, they're living in hotels, they're in buses, they're on airplanes, they're not getting enough sleep, they're eating crazy foods, they're away from their loved ones, they're out on a field in incredible competition, playing in snow or rain or mud or slush and getting beat up and banged up and knocked around. And this is not easy, but life isn't supposed to be easy. This is the game of life. We're supposed to be in it. We're supposed to be pounding away out there. We're not supposed to be comfortable. So when we have the same thoughts, the same habits, the same behaviors, the same actions, the same experiences, day after day, week after week, 60 to 70% of the same thoughts and the same reaction to the thoughts and the same feelings, then we're not growing, we're not going anywhere. I mean, if you went to the doctor and the doctor said to you, well, we've just done all the tests and the MRIs and the CAT scans and the PET scans, and we've looked at everything, and we can tell you that you're 30% alive, you're 60% dead. That would be terrible news. But if 60 or 70% of our thoughts are already dead, they're last week's thoughts, then who are we? Who are we? We're clones of yesteryear. So how do we make new choices? How do we take new actions and have new experiences? How do we do that? How do we make new choices? How do we find ways to change our thinking patterns? So, like, you get up in the morning, and for one thing, if you saw my latest talk, it was about hurry. We just got to hurry. We hurry. We get out of bed. We're in a hurry. Because we have this routine, and part of the routine is that we hurry. Got to get this done so I can get this done so I can get this done. Then I get this, and then I get this, and then I get that, and then I finally get that, and then I get my foot and brush my teeth, and then I get in bed and I go, and then I get up and then I start hurrying, and it's just crazy. It's just nuts. I mean, we're like, I love to think of racehorses. If you've ever seen a champion racehorse up close, oh God, they're so beautiful. The muscles sculpting on their shoulders and their buttocks and their legs. They're just gorgeous. And you know what they do? They go out on the track and they run around in circles. They're champions, and they spend their whole life running around in circles. And you and I are champions, and we spend our whole lives running around in circles. That's what Dr. Joe tells us. 60 to 70% of our thoughts are the same thoughts. We're going around in circles. We get up in the morning, we do the same thing. We do the same thing all day long. We think the same thoughts, we do the same thing. And our ego wants us to do that because the ego wants us to be comfortable. The ego wants us to be comfortable. And the ego demands that we be comfortable. And I don't know if you know this or not, but I'm going to tell you that the reason the ego is so insistent is because the ego only lives as a belief. I don't mean it's your belief in the ego. I mean, it's the ego. The ego is the controller of your identity, which is your belief system. Your identity is your belief system. Your identity is made up of your life's experiences. Nothing else. Nothing else. It's your life experiences makes up your belief system, and that's your identity. And the ego says, this is who I am. This is who I am. Don't mess with it. Because the ego knows that if you change it, the ego dies. Now, a new ego is born. So you create new habits. You create new ways of thinking. You create a meaningful life. You have a life that has purpose. You go out of your way to do something that you haven't done before. I think I'll just take these old clothes and I'm going to take them over to some place where I know people can use them now. I'm going to clean out this closet and take these things somewhere where people, and I'm going to do things you haven't done before. Whatever it is, just, and the ego's going, well, no, man, you're getting a little tired right now. You get tired. I don't know if you ought to do that. And you might even want that stuff later on. Let's wait till another, because the ego doesn't want to change anything. You got to just bust through that and do it anyway. So change the way we think, change the way we feel, change our habits. Because as we'll learn from Joe, And if you've read any of his other books, and I've done seminars on some of his other books, here's what he teaches is that when you have a thought creates a feeling. A thought creates a feeling. And the feeling, what the feeling creates is an experience. And the experience creates a thought. And the thought creates a feeling, and the feeling creates an experience. And it just goes around like that. And they just keep going around like that. And the whole thing. And it's just boring as hell. It's just boring as hell. So in order for us to break out of that, we have to break the circle, break the cycle, have a new experience. So I have this thought, and then it feels this way. But when I experience it, maybe I can experience this differently. So I have a thought, I want some ice cream. So I go to the refrigerator and I get out the ice cream and I put some in a dish, and I take a spoon and I put it in my mouth. And now I have the feeling I'm doing what I wanted to do. I'm doing it. This is great. Now, what do I do with the ice cream? Just spoon it down, spoon it down. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just hold it in my mouth and let it melt. Maybe I won't do it the same way. And maybe I'll turn the spoon upside down. Or maybe I'll eat it with a kitchen knife. Or maybe I'll eat it with my hands. Maybe I'll do it differently than I've done it before. Maybe I'll be really goofy. Maybe I'll put it all in a glass, in a drinking glass, and pour maple syrup on it. I'll do something different. So I have a different experience. So I'm changing my life. I refuse, even in the smallest things, to be labeled by my sameness. I won't be the same anymore. So that's what I'm talking about. New thoughts, new choices, new actions and behaviors, new experiences, new feelings, new identity, new awakening, a new birth, at any age, a new birth. We can do that. I must tell you, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm going to live and be active and writing books and giving talks until I'm 120 years old. I tell you that. And I will do that. And one of the ways I do that is I keep inventing life. I keep inventing it, making it new. What is new today? What can I do? What can I do that's ridiculous? Sometimes I might go to the store or even go to give a speech wearing a black shoe and a brown shoe. And almost nobody ever notices. And almost nobody ever notices because they all see what they think they're seeing. They aren't aware. So be different. You are unique. I've said this before. A lot of people have said this to you before. You are the only one of you. There has never been, out of the billions of trillions of people that have been and will be in this human race on this planet forever, there is only one you. Only one person has that thumbprint. Only one person has that iris print. Only one person has the neuronal pattern in your brain and in your nervous system. Only you have this voice. Only you have that personality. There's only one you. There will never be another you. And since you're so unique, why do we act like each other? Be goofy. Be crazy. Let the true self of who you are come alive. Be a kid. Be a little kid. Let that wake up inside of you. Okay? So we're going to go to breakout rooms. And Randy, can you show them what they're going to be doing in the breakout room? I'm going to ask you to be talking about 3 things.
Those are in the breakout room, in the chat right now, or the 3 questions?
Just put it on the chat so they can see it.
Did you want to read the questions out, Bob, or do you want me to do it?
I'll read them.
And then they're in the chat. Then they're in the chat box.
Okay, so they're in the chat box now?
I can't see it.
Yes, they are.
I don't see anything.
Maybe you have to go to the chat box.
Actually, yeah, I don't think you get them in the box. Can you, everybody exit chat for a moment, or no, everybody go into chat, because I think if it's posted before you go in, you don't see it.
Oh, there they are. They're
I
at the
can
bottom
see
of the
them.
chat.
I can see them.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, they're all in chat.
yeah.
There'll
So
be
are you-
somebody, there'll be somebody in each room that I'm sure will have seen it and will have it.
Okay, so are you beginning to see reality differently? That's a question I'm asking you. And how does changing your mind change your physical brain? How does changing your mind change your physical brain? And the last thing I want you to talk about, and I really want you to spend some time talking about this, is what habitual thinking limits your freedom? What habitual thinking limits your freedom? And I want you to make sure that everybody in your chat room gets a chance to talk, because sometimes people would rather just sit back and kind of listen, but we aren't going to grow unless we participate. We're here in this incarnation to experience and to express. And unless we express our experiences, the experiences don't hang around and become wisdom. So everybody needs to express. So we're going to go into chat rooms now, and for the next half hour, I want you to make sure everybody gets a chance to talk about these three things.